Namaskar and welcome to Sansad Television. I'm Vishal, Dahiy, and you're watching our show Perspective, where we bring you detailed analysis of key national and international issues. Today, we're going to talk about the Energy Conservation Amendment Bill 2022, which has been passed by the Parliament. While the Upper House cleared the bill on Monday, it was passed in Lok Sabha in August during the monsoon session this year. Now, the bill seeks to amend the Energy Conservation Act 2001 to facilitate the achievement of COP26 goals and introduce concepts such as mandated use of non-fossil fuel sources and carbon credit trading to ensure faster decarbonisation of the Indian economy. This bill also empowers the central government to specify a carbon credit trading scheme and provide for an energy conservation and sustainable building code. So today, we'll discuss and analyze various aspects of this bill. And for a detailed discussion on them, we're joined by a distinguished panel of experts. Let me first introduce them to you, beginning with Mr. N.K. Premchandran is here with us, RSP's Lok Sabha Member of Parliament. Welcome, Mr. Premchandran. We're also joined by Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Director General of TERI. Welcome to you as well, ma'am, in the studios. And Mr. Narendra Taneja is also with us, who's an energy policy expert. We'll also be soon joined by one more panelist. But before that happens, let me begin with you, Mr. Premchandran, since you participated in the debate on this in Lok Sabha in the monsoon session. How do you assess and analyze this particular bill and the key aspects of the bill which are to put in place measures to ensure faster decarbonization of the Indian economy as a whole through various measures?
So definitely we have all supported this bill when it was discussed in Lok Sabha. I think that in Rajya Sabha also it was been unanimously passed. Because we all know that the international commitment of our country, by this legislation we are able to come or comply the provisions of the international commitment. And the COP27 and the role taken by India, it is absolutely a commitment regarding the carbon credit as well as decarbonization, in which all aspects, I think that the provisions of this bill, the amended act or the amended bill will definitely help us in complying those provisions or those commitments which we have given in the international forums.
Okay.
And regarding, we have certain subject to certain clarifications, we have approved or we have supported the bill, but all those issues were clarified by the government. But the question still remains regarding the carbon emission, because the developed countries, even in the COP27, we know that the stand taken by United States of America and even after this COP27 also, they are not even complying or committing their commitments which have made in the international forums prior to that of COP27. Though those apprehensions also, which we have made during the deliberations, but still unanimous support has come in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha so as to pass the Energy Conservation Bill of Amendment Bill of this 2022.
Okay. Let me bring in Dr. Dhawan here as well. And as Mr. Premchandran is pointing out, that aspect of carbon credits trading scheme, which the bill empowers the government to put in place. So for our viewers, if you could, make us understand how does it actually work and how will it help in dealing with the issue of carbon emission, as Mr. Premchandran was also referring to, specifically when we have made certain commitments, both at the national level and when we're talking about international level as well, from the COP26 promises and the COP27 outcomes as well.
Sure. See, one thing which is very clear, and it was made by the Honorable Prime Minister, that India is going to cut down on the emission and it's going to increase its share in the renewable energy. Now, the other thing which is life, so that is that every stakeholder, every Indian should participate. So this bill is a welcome step, because what we are trying to do over here is that even if you are using electricity at home, you have a small industry, you all should move towards renewables as much as possible. So it is practically bringing everyone on the same platform. Now, when we talk of carbon credits, it is that there are few industries, there are few acts where you cannot be carbon free. There will be some emissions. But how do you take care of those emissions? Like trees is one important resource that they will absorb carbon dioxide and give you oxygen. And today we are talking of nature-based solutions. So there are other activities which will take care of the CO2 that or other emissions that otherwise you can't avoid. So that is what it is, that, okay, if I cannot avoid emitting, if the industry or whatever use of energy I have to do, I cannot be zero in that particular activity. And that's why we say net zero. So this activity, this particular emission, I'm taking care that it is absorbed by something else.
Okay.
And those are what are the credits. So that can be, if I don't have myers myself, even if my country doesn't have, I can go to another country and invest over there. And the point which was just made, that maybe at the global level, developed countries, they are not coming forward, but that doesn't mean that India also becomes irresponsible like them. So we have to be responsible. We are a growing economy. Our population density is very high. So we simply cannot say that we can follow their path. We have to define a different path which is far more sustainable.
Okay, okay. Indeed, we have to put forth the best foot forward as far as the issues of climate change are concerned. As both of you are pointing out, Mr. Taneja is also with us. Mr. Taneja, on the aspect of, carbon credits trading scheme, and the reason why, I would want you to explain it in a bit more detail is for our viewers to understand, and for the larger public to understand that not only how will it work, but also why is it required in a sense that when we are already dealing with the issue of climate change on several, planes in various measures, how will this help?
Well, you see, first, we got to kind of pay attention to the energy landscape in our country and globally is changing rapidly. It's a very dynamic landscape. I mean, there are many areas, for instance, which we as a government or the state government or, various entity or for that matter, even individuals, are confronted with, for instance, we didn't even know anything about, let's say, only 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Now, our country, we as a country have made commitment to the international community at COP and some other international platforms that, look, this is what we intend to do. And this parliament has clearly shown today, as far as our intent is concerned, it's like absolutely 100%, which means that we are already making laws, we are introducing amendments, as for instance, even the carbon credit is concerned, and so on and so forth. The whole idea is that when you have this commitment and at the same time you want to move in that direction very aggressively, it's going to impact and affect every single individual in the country, every single industry, every single player, and practically all the stakeholders of Indian economy. Now, the question is that how do we deal with them? There are many sectors of our industry, for instance, which are kind of structured in such a way that, they cannot be net zero, they cannot be carbon free, they cannot be, for instance, say that, not polluting at all, if I may use the layman's language. Now, this basically takes care if you happen to be in such a sector, but at the same time, you are a big employment generator, you are a key component on the Indian economy, that look, here are the options. So now with this, the state governments may be able to come out with their own initiatives. State regulators will be able to come out with their own initiatives. At the same time, for the federal government agencies, the federal, central government, and various other actors and players, they'll be able to amend their own, for instance, path so that, this can be facilitated.
Okay.
Carbon credit, trading, etc. And so the whole structure can be put in place such a way which is democratic, easy to understand, and easy to participate in. So that's basically, this is what is going to do. But more importantly, at the same time, understand that what we have conveyed to the world today, look, we mean business. We are serious about it. We are still a fossil fuel economy, just like most other countries on the planet. But at the same time, we are very concerned, you kind of challenge that our Mother Earth is placing in terms of, in terms of climate. So we are very serious. And, taking care of environment is nothing. It's part of our civilization, part of way of thinking for majority of us.
Indeed.
COP maybe was born only yesterday, but we have been concerned about environment, since we kind of, came up as a civilization and this country. So I think this is being conveyed. But that said, at the same time, our incentive and kind of priorities has to be, to expand the economy, to make energy available to every single Indian. The fact is, the majority of Indians still don't have access to affordable energy. Almost 700 million people are kind of energy poor according to definition of many experts. Now, how do we at this, on the one hand, make sure that they have access to energy, they have access to job, and we are transiting from, fossil fuel economy to renewable economy. All these are major challenges for economy like ours. So we are setting the example, but we expect world also, especially the developed countries, to walk the talk. They have made many commitments to emerging economy like us, but they have failed to walk even 1 meter.
Indeed.
So there is a message to the world. This is what we are doing, though we are still in an emerging economy with so many challenges, and now it's time for you also to walk the talk.
Okay, indeed, that's the message we are sending across to the other players in the wider world as well. But on the implementation part, Mr. Premchandran, as Mr. Taneja was also referring to, it becomes really important. A law is passed by the parliament, and then when it comes for the implementation part, and in this case, it becomes really important also because it will not only be the central government, the state government will also have to put their best foot forward, implement those laws out there, those aspects. And as Mr. Taneja was referring to, ensuring that not only energy conservation takes place, but also, energy is passed on to the people, as in people do get benefited in both ways.
Definitely, merely the union government passing of law, the parliament passing of law, will never serve the purpose. Even in the act itself, it is very clear that the state governments as well as the union government has to go together in hand so as to combat this problem. There, the very important aspect I would like to mention, Mr. Taneja was speaking about, but he has not explained how this trading is being practically done. We also would like to know, because we ordinary laymen or the legislators, the public representatives, it is a highly technical and sophisticated, I think, because the carbon credit trading scheme, what would be its impact? I also made some observation in my discussion also, because some multinational corporations or big corporate companies, they are polluting and they are carbonizing and everything and doing, and they are purchasing this carbon credit from other sources. That means their commitment is not being honored. That is my point, which I have made, for which also I sought clarification. So definitely, if we want to make it practical, if the law to be effective, enforcement has to come from the state also. In my state, Kerala state, I know it very well. The Honorable Chief Minister, just 2 days back, he has announced that the next budget will be the green budget. That is decarbonisation, minimizing the greenhouse gases emission. In such a way, the budget will also be on the basis of our commitments which we have made in COP27, and also the state government is also moving in that direction. If all the state, see nowadays what is happening, see to have the populistic approach, we are going for this big development in the sense construction and all these measures. But the people have to be well educated as far as this climate change, the environmental protection, energy conservation, and all these things, and also the renewable energy sources have to be found out so as to have a green and clean energy. So unfortunately, that is missing. The people's concept is also still, it is there, the development means big buildings, big bridges, and all these things. Such thing has also to be changed, for which I think that big exercise has to be taken place by the state governments along with the union government, so as to protect the environment as well as to address the issue of climate change, as we have made our commitments in the international forums.
Okay. So the key word is not development; it's sustainable development, and that is why this particular aspect, Dr. Dhawan, in terms of the sustainable building code as well, which the bill talks about. So it's not just carbon trading, credit trading, which we are looking at, but also various other aspects also. Green buildings, even motor vehicles are covered under this particular bill. How do you analyze these two important aspects? Because green buildings and the sustainable building code is also something which we have heard for quite some time now. And with the code being there, how will it be implemented?
See, it's always said prevention is better than cure. So what we are talking of, whether it is carbon trading, whether it is going for cleaner way, it is that we are trying to take care of whatever we are polluting. But we have to go to the root cause. Very rightly mentioned by Premchand ji, we are looking at infrastructure building. And India is a country where perhaps we have to build more than 50% of the infrastructure. It still has to come.
Indeed.
So we have a unique opportunity, and I'd like to mention that there is a code already existing, a certifying code called GREHA, which is done by Terry. So it is that you help the building, the architects that design a building which utilizes less of energy. And your efficient building design can reduce the energy consumption almost by 40–45%. So that is for the lifetime. Then you come to the other solutions like, okay, you have rooftop solar. That also reduces heating of the rooftop in addition to cutting down on your energy or fossil energy usage. Then you basically, because what the kind of previous designs we had like sunshades and all, that is again coming back so that your ultimate energy usage is less. We are going to the next stage, and that is how do you produce the building material, how sustainable it is. And cement, and there are other binders available which in a way provide insulation to the building so that your energy requirement will go down. So one is looking at sustainable habitat, sustainable buildings. So that is going to reduce the ultimate use of energy.
Okay.
The other thing which I would like to mention, and very rightly mentioned by Mr. Taneja, we are talking of energy, and in India, you can say, is energy-starved country as such, and that is one of the reasons that development in rural India has been comparatively slow. So how do we provide them with cleaner fuel? Today we are talking of, and it was a very good initiative that LPG gas was provided to all, but can they afford it? And can we even look for local solutions like agriculture residue getting converted into CNG so that we
energy
provide
from
them
non-fossil fuel sources.
Non-fossil fuels generated in decentralized manner so that it creates livelihood opportunities for them and at the same time makes them energy secure.
Okay.
So
okay.
that's another thing one should look into. So the building design, it's very good that right now it is voluntary. You can go for the, in a way, the certification of your building. But once people know the benefits and it becomes mandatory, it's going to help the country a lot.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Taneja, do you agree with this aspect there that, energy security is equally important, really important, bringing everybody on the energy map out there, ensuring that everybody in the country, every citizen has access to clean energy. But more important than that is ensuring that that energy comes from non-fossil fuel sources as much as possible, moving from here onwards, and then putting in place a sustainable building code also. More, push to the energy conservation aspect there.
You see, climate and energy are two sides of the same coin. Unfortunately, the Western world, the rich world, the so-called global north, they want to look at climate as climate only, as kind of one side of the coin. They don't really are recognizing anymore that it's actually these are two sides of the same coin. For India, energy is as important as, for instance, battling, the climate crisis. For us, both are important. We need to pull up all these people, 700 million people out of energy poverty. How do you do that? We at the same time, we can't say, look, we can develop at the pace of 1% just because we want to go absolutely the clean way, which is needed because we are a densely populated country. But I think we need to balance it in the sense that, on the one hand, we do whatever is necessary in order to fight the climate crisis, to deal with the climate crisis. But at the same time, we are expanding the economy, making affordable energy to every single Indian and democratizing the entire energy space. Even this climate debate needs to be democratized. Look at the climate debate globally. It's not democratized. It's not democratic. Rich countries, they develop the idea, they build the narrative, they disseminate this thing, and they come and sit on our throat and tell us, look, this is what you got to do, and if you don't do, you are a bad boy. It's a reality. We are a large economy. On the one hand, that's why I'm saying this is a great day for us. We are telling the world, look, we don't only talk.
Okay.
We do it. Parliament has passed this bill now. It's an act. At the same time, we also have to say that, look, we have got this large number of energy poor. We need to expand the economy. We need to grow at 9% minimum in order to become a developed economy. And there are 3 billion energy poor on this planet, 3 billion. And India being a large democracy, a large economy, we also need to speak on behalf of the G20, other countries, developing countries. The Prime Minister made it very clear in Bali. If you go at his speech, look at his speech, or his speech at G7. He made it very clear that, we are going to walk this thing. We are, the entire world, we are leading actually in solar and all that. But at the same time, we need to expand the economy. So this transition from fossil fuels to renewables is not going to be easy. So on the one hand, we will need to make sure energy available, and at the same time make sure that we are actually together with the whole world on climate crisis. Last point, you see carbon credit trading point that my co-panelist member of parliament he has a valid point. But important thing here is the journey has begun. This is just the first new step. There are going to be many challenges, and as we face them, we will have to deal with them. There can be some countries are playing games with it, some corporates are playing games. We have already seen that. So we got to learn from them, but it does mean that we don't move ahead with that. I think what Parliament has done is the right thing. There will be challenges, but we have no option. We have to move in that direction. We have to become on energy. We have to be absolutely with the world, make sure energy available to everybody. But at the same time, climate crisis real. There can't be any compromises. We got to take it very, very seriously.
Indeed, it is real and it is here. We will have to deal with it in the now movement. We have Mr. Abhay Bhakre also with us here, Director General of Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Mr. Bhakre, welcome to Sansad Television. We are, discussing the salient aspects of that particular bill, the Energy Conservation Amendment Bill 2022, which has been passed by both the houses now. The Rajya Sabha has passed it today. Now, your department, correct me if I'm wrong, is going to be the implementing agency as well, when it comes to various aspects of it. What we're trying to understand, and one important issue here is the way carbon credit trading scheme will work, because that seems to be at the center of this, entire issue. Of course, there are other key pillars as well. How will it work and implemented on the ground as well?
Yeah. So, a very pertinent question. As you first said that, yes, the Bureau of Energy Efficiency will be the nodal agency which will work to implement most of the aspects of the bill which has been passed today by the Honorable Parliament. So, if we take the carbon credit itself, here the issue is regarding the climate change, and of course the guiding ministry will be Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. The second aspect is about the non-fossil fuel, where the MNRE is going to be the lead ministry. But because B is set up under Energy Conservation Act, and the entire energy sector, especially its improvement in efficiency, its conservation, going from fossil to non-fossil fuel. So that's the mandate given under the Act. So that's why B has to play a lead role in that, as far as the implementation is concerned. Now, you rightly asked the carbon credit. The carbon credit, it is not that we are not aware about such trading system, because we have the energy certificate trading scheme. We have done it. Is almost now we are completing 10 years from, and the last 5 years the trading has happened. Initially there were hiccups. The industry was quite hesitant to join this scheme. Later on they identified, they can implement good technologies. They can get better investment. They can get the return not only for the energy saved but also from the credits. Same thing is happening on the REC, because there has been REC certificates given. There has been RPO, the renewable purchase obligations, and that has encouraged scaling up of our renewable sources. Now, this carbon credit actually will broad base this entire ecosystem. So we have that ecosystem, and if you remember, the CDM itself was available in India, and India is the second largest country who has registered so many projects, more than about 1,600 projects. So the carbon credits have been generated in the past by different entities on a voluntary basis. So once this entire ecosystem will merge towards a whole carbon credit scheme, it will again work on a compliance as well as the voluntary market. But actually, every entity who is willing to invest, who is willing to create more carbon savings, those will be benefited. Those will be incentivized. So like that, their participation will be key in scaling up all these efforts.
Okay. And when we're talking about the energy conservation part from other aspects as well, a green building code, sustainable building code rather, and when we're looking at motor vehicles as well, ensuring that the non-fossil fuel energy sources are utilized in increased ways in running of motor vehicles, various kinds of motor vehicles as well. How do you see the development on that aspect?
We need to understand that we are a growing economy, and our energy demand will grow really fast in coming next 2 decades. If we talk about the building itself is the residential building using about 23% of electricity, another 10% commercial buildings. All of them are going to grow. 1 billion square meter commercial buildings, another 3 billion square meter residential building. So next 2 decades, the entire demand on the building sector itself will be huge, because most of the upcoming commercial sectors will be actually air conditioned, or air conditioned demand in the residential, which is currently 6% households are using, will grow even say 20%. So all this will put the energy demand into a very tight situation. But then we need to grow in a efficient manner. We have the appliances scheme. Now we need to make the upcoming building stock, which will be huge quantity as I mentioned. Those building stock should be constructed, designed in such a manner that they are more efficient.
Okay.
Because building stocks are there for another 40-50 years. So if you make out a building in 2024, it will last for another 40-50 years. It has to be efficient building. It should use materials, insulations, the layouts, natural ventilation, natural lights, because these are all available. And as I mentioned about the previous speakers here, as an economy, when we need energy, we need to conserve the energy as well.
Okay.
Because our energy security is paramount. We need to get the energy in every sector, and for that we need to conserve energy.
Okay.
So this energy conservation building code for both commercial and residential building upgraded into a sustainable building code to improve the water efficiency, to improve the requirement of renewable, going up to the green buildings. They are also getting promoted now. So all these things will actually get into a lesser energy for a higher building stock in the country.
Okay. So long road ahead, but the plans are very well in place, and the bill itself spells out that particular path to achieving those goals. Thank you so much, Mr. Bakre, Dr. Dhawan, Mr. Prem Chandran, and Mr. Taneja as well, for sharing your views and insight with us and our viewers on the Energy Conservation Amendment Bill 2022, which puts in place various aspects in terms of ensuring not only decarbonization of Indian economy, but also ensuring sustainable development, energy conservation, and most important of all, energy security for all, specifically more focus on use of non-fossil fuel energy sources. We'll come back again with a different topic. Till then, keep watching Sansad Television. Thank you.